That's CDOT's
So
special.
That's not even live anymore.
Oh God, no, that's been live in like 15 years.
We're on, ma'am.
So it's those
We're on and recording.
on Mother Nature.
Okay, we're on television.
Okay, we're on. Woohoo!
Rustic. I would love CDOT to make it go away, but they don't.
Okay. Let's call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting of the Basalt Council at 5:02-ish. Pam, could we get a roll call, please?
Certainly. Gary Tenenbaum,
Here.
Bernie Grauer,
Here.
Katie Schwer, Auden Schendler,
Here.
Jennifer Riffle, Mark Kittle,
Here.
Jackie Whitsitt.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you, Pamela.
Present.
Okay, we would like to thank Grassroots TV for being here and for broadcasting our meetings live. People can view tonight's meeting live and previous council meetings at grassrootstv.org. We appreciate it if you holler at us. What is our grass? Kate?
Katie?
Katie? Back there? Could you yell Mike at us if you cannot hear us? Because we all go like this eventually. And also, let's see. So anyway, thank you for being here, Katie and John.
Hi,
but
Alice. It's Pam with the town of Basalt.
Hi, Pam.
We are live and on air with council.
And I will holler for
Thank
you.
you.
I'll holler for you in a second, Alice. Thank you for being on. Also, we want to just say tomorrow at Starbucks at 8 a.m. is the mayor's coffee. Sometimes other people come. You're always welcome to come. Yes. As special guest stars on tomorrow's mayor's coffee will be our new manager Ryan and our acting premier manager Davis. So 8 o'clock, Starbucks. If you show up, I might buy you coffee. So our first item in this this meeting is consideration of approval of a settlement agreement with Mike Scanlon. We have our attorney Alice Powers on the speakerphone. She's not here live, but she is on the speakerphone. And I'm going to call on Alice to introduce and run this meeting. But Alice, I want to allow some time for public comment. I don't know if anyone will show up. I got a couple phone calls from people who had comments regarding this agreement. So I'll let you kick it off.
Certainly. The town has agreed to accept a settlement offer that was provided, and this was over the course of mediation. We have a signed settlement agreement from Mike Scanlon, former town manager, resolving his claims that were threatened in both a notice of claim and a draft complaint that had not actually been filed yet with the court. And the parties elected to proceed with a mediation to see if the claims could be resolved rather than going through the expense and time of actual litigation. And at the conclusion of the mediation, the parties were able to reach an agreement. Mr. Scanlon has executed the agreement. It's in the amount of, do you guys want all the details, Jackie?
You know, it wouldn't hurt because there's really not anyone here, and yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Oh, wait, there's people here. There are people here. I'm sorry. One person with 2 dogs.
Fair enough. So the amount of the settlement was $250,000, and the town's portion of that is $125,000. It was split evenly with the insurance carrier Travelers, who agreed to match the town's contribution in order to get this resolved because we knew that it was going to be very heavily litigated. It was also we believe, a beneficial result for the parties, specifically for the town and for the council, because there were issues with the claims that have been pled by the plaintiff, basically his allegations in the complaint. There were some weaker claims that would have been likely thrown out by the court, and unfortunately the weaker claims were the ones that triggered coverage under the town's insurance policy. And if those claims are thrown out by the court, then the town is without insurance and has to litigate and pay attorney's fees, a la me, itself, as opposed to having the insurance carrier step up and pay the cost of defense. Given the realities of that situation, which were fairly severe, given the way that the draft complaint had been pled, we were looking at the possibility of not having coverage for the lawsuit moving forward and the town having to pay. So the carrier was agreeable to paying 50%, matching the town dollar for dollar. We were able to get the demand down from the opening of about $550,000 down to $250,000. The town's portion is roughly about what we were looking at for a 6-month severance agreement, which is fairly standard. And again, we're not going to have to deal with the time, the expense, much less the town having to front the attorney's fees. And given all of that, as well as the carrier being interested in attempting resolution, we were able to reach an agreement.
Okay, that sounds like a great summary of what happened. I think unless you have a different idea, Alice, there are a couple of folks here, and so I got a couple calls today as well, and maybe other people have it also, based on information that was already out there. But I'm going to go ahead, even though this is not a public hearing, go ahead and ask if there's any questions or comments from the public regarding the settlement agreement with Mike Scanlon as was just reviewed. Anybody?
Actually, I will. I'm not coming.
You have to come up.
I can't. Thank you, but I can't.
Can you hand her a mic?
Then, yeah, nobody will hear you if.
Oh, well, I just want to say that I am very, very grateful that this is all over, that it's finally resolved. And that's all. That's really all I wanted to say. I have nothing about. I know nothing about the legal part of it, but it's been long and painful, and it's over now. So, thank you all for doing that.
Anybody else? No? Okay. Council, do you have anything that you want to disclose or bring to this meeting from any comments you heard outside of here or any thoughts you have about this agreement?
I did receive an email from from a citizen who was concerned that if there had been any other activities by Mike during the course of his employment that might come to light at a later date, that this agreement would eliminate the town's position regarding those. I said I didn't know. I would ask our attorney.
Did you hear that, Alice?
Yes, I believe so. So generally what a settlement agreement does is to resolve all claims, whether known or unknown, as of the signing of the agreement. And that is designed to protect both sides of the agreement in exactly this kind of situation, which, you know, three years from now, which actually that's a bad example because the statute of limitations would likely have run, but say 3 weeks from now we discover that there's an issue with something that Mike Scanlon has done, and 4 weeks from now Mike realizes that the calculation of, you know, his final paycheck was wrong and we owe him another $20,000. We can't proceed against him, he can't proceed against us. If you did not have that type of a finality in all settlement agreements, then there is very little incentive to actually close a matter down. And all agreements they come with what's called a mutual release. So the defendants mutually release the plaintiff mutually releases the defendants from all future claims. Otherwise, there's no finality and litigation continues forever.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I mean, I'm not sure that I have anything much to say except for I also received a call and heard roundabout from someone else just concerned that this was a lot of money and that the town should not be paying it. And I tried my best without having Alice at my side to explain I mean, as anyone who's been through litigation knows that it's not cheap, it drags on forever, and that you still don't get out of the deal scot-free. So, no offense, Scott. Oh, never mind, he missed the joke. Anyway, so I was hoping those people would show up so that they could ask their questions, where there was someone here that could answer them more thoroughly, but I see they're not here. So, given that, I guess we could proceed with a motion. Bernie?
Madam Mayor, I move the town council approve the settlement agreement with Mike Scanlon.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And all I can say is that we spent all the time in the world on this. We went to mediation. I feel like we did everything rational under the sun to try to get this thing finished. And as you said, it's finished, and that's really what we needed to move forward with a new manager and a new day. So, thanks, Alice.
Thank you very much.
You've been great. You were awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate all of your cooperation and for making this process happen the way that it did, because it could have gone a very different way, so thank you.
You bet. Good night. Have a good one.
Thank you, you also. Bye-bye.
So now we have like a really long time to do. I know. I mean, we really can't move on with the agenda. One thing we could do, however, is one of the things we added to our agenda last time was this statement of Basalt is an inclusive, blah, blah, blah. And I wondered if I could ask Mark Kittle to just read that, because I would like it to be read at the beginning of meetings.
You put me on the spot
Well,
there.
you know, you have a lot of soul. You can do it.
Basalt is an inclusive, sustainable mountain community that boasts both historic charm and progressive vision. It is an engaging place to live, work, and play while offering an abundance of creative, professional, educational, and recreational outlets.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah. So should we just, yeah, Bernie?
Could we state some of our positive feelings about Basalt now?
Yes, we could. I think it's on here for later, under public comments. But we sure could. I was kind
I
of
don't think we're
feeling,
gonna have a
I
ton
was,
of public show up for the rest of our items either.
pardon?
Do you? I don't think there's gonna be a ton of public.
No,
that's-
probably not. Go ahead, Bernie. I think that's a great idea.
Well, I am actually grateful for the summer and the incredibly beautiful sunny days that allow us to fully experience the rivers and the mountains and the brilliant scenery that we enjoy in our town and in our unique place in Colorado.
Nice. Anybody else?
I'm happy to see some dirt getting spread over here.
Ooh, I missed that. Yeah, I didn't drive by.
We were waiting to be sure that the water was dropping, and it is.
It is.
Yeah, now that we're in a drought. Right.
One day to the next.
I guess, and we've kind of just said this, but I am really, really grateful that we took the time that we did and a really good professional search for a new town manager. It was sort of hard negotiation as well, but I feel like as Ryan has negotiated for himself, he will also negotiate for us on our behalf. So I see that as a plus, as he is a good negotiator, friendly about it all, but, so that's great, and I'm just grateful that he's here, and I know the staff is grateful because I see them looking more relaxed and smiling, and it's a great day. And also, I just have to say, we've had some remarkable interim managers that have kept us moving along the way, and maybe it's just because I have a short memory, but Davis, of course, was the best. We got a lot done with Davis here, and he's just a nice, calm person at the helm, and so I'm super thankful that you were here.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't have any more gratitude, so maybe we should take a break.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take a break
We go
till
home and get
6.
the house.
Might as well go home and walk the dog.
Yeah.
Beauty of living right here.
You're gonna walk home?
I'm gonna take a wee cycle home for a minute. and I'll be back.
Don't complain tonight that you don't have time to
Right,
swallow your food.
exactly.
Well, this was.
I knew it was gonna be fast.
There might have been,
That's true.
We had a manager.
Yes, we had
This is not on the agenda, but it's just a quick one. So Ryan is stepping into the manager slot as of yesterday, but he has got a personal trip he has to make the couple of weeks in July. And so I have asked, but the council has not yet made this formal. I have asked Davis if he would come back for those couple of weeks and be interim again. So I guess the tearful goodbyes will have to wait. So I think we should probably just go ahead and have a motion for this, just to get it on the record.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
That was tough.
Thank you. What are those dates? What are those dates?
Work that out later, work that out later. Okay, so, let's see. The first item, since we returned, is the consent agenda. Does anyone have questions, or is there a motion?
I move the town council approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Council comments, reports, disclosures, and other reports. Council, comments. I got one quick one, and that is, I would like to formally and on the record thank Kathy Chandler Henry for voting in opposition to the tree farm project that was approved last night at the Eagle County building. The town has said over and over again, formally and in writing, that we did not approve of many aspects of that development and that was going to harm our town, and asked for denial. And Kathy was the only one who voted to deny, and I think a lot of us have called her, texted her, sent her love letters, and we just really appreciate the fact that she is the one person who actually has taken to heart the needs and wants of this community. So, thank you, Kathy. Anybody else? Okay, interim town manager comments, and introduce Ryan Mahoney. And so there's something planned here, so I will just step back.
Before we get there, Madam Mayor, I have a couple points. One, as you just mentioned, the Eagle County Commissioners approved the tree farm last night. And then Friday, as you know, we're having the grand opening for the Whitewater Park. And we are planning on sending elected officials down the river, so to speak, on one or more rafts. And if there's anybody who would be uncomfortable, there is a slim chance that a raft could tip over or you could get bounced out. So if anybody would be uncomfortable being in the river in those circumstances, and you don't want to be on the raft, that's totally fine. But we're trying to get a head count for that this evening, if that's possible.
Mark, do you know how to swim?
I can look like a duck. So Bernie, you'd mentioned to me maybe you weren't gonna do it because you were on a raft and it knocked you in the mouth or something.
Something like that.
How about who's in? I'm in.
What time is it?
It's 5 to 7, and I think we'll be loading on the rafts at around 4:30.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it.
I'm gonna try. I think I can do it.
Okay, so we've got Auden and Jackie.
Well, and you should check in again with the
Katie,
BOCC, because they're a little, it's still pretty high right now, so,
It's dropping fast.
I know,
Okay.
just check in to
We-
make sure they're really willing
How about this?
to, like, get in a raft with you.
So as not to spend any more meeting time, could you just send us all an email and let us know where to report for duty, et cetera, when you know?
Yep,
Okay.
that'll be right away, because we need a head count, but thank
Okay.
you. And then, the next item here for me is, this, I was gonna say this is could be my last meeting, but it might not be if I'm back here in July. But in any case, Ryan is here tonight. I want to thank you all, the council, the staff, the community, very much for the opportunity to be your interim town manager. For me, it's been fun, challenging, and, you know, I spend a little time in Colburn, but it's nice to come back to the Roaring Fork Valley with folks that I've known for a long time. I appreciate that. And with that, I would like to pass the baton to Ryan. So first thing I'll do is get rid of my nameplate and put his here. And then more importantly, we need a drum roll. There actually is a baton. With this, I would like to pass the baton to Ryan, and good luck.
Gladly accept. Yeah, okay, yeah. I gotta go get changed.
And with that, I'm out of here.
Not for long.
Not
You're
for
coming
long
back.
is right.
Davis, you gotta do this.
Drop the mic.
That's a drop the mic moment.
Is anybody gonna sit in there? Oh,
I'm going to, I'm getting my water.
okay. So Ryan, are there any words of wisdom you'd like to deliver for your very first moments?
Oh, sure, yes. Well, words of wisdom, I can't promise that, but, you know, it's definitely exciting to be here, second day on the job, so getting acquainted with the town and
Just got a mic.
the
Mike.
staff. Oh, sorry.
You have to
That's
get
my
closer.
voice.
Ah, scream,
We've
you
been
can
accused
scream
of
at
that.
us.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I like it when you do that.
So yeah, I've been getting the lay of the land, meeting with staff, and have talked to a few council members, but I look forward to sort of individually getting to know each and every one of you and sort of what makes you tick and priorities for the town. And I have no doubt that we're, you know, on a great trajectory, lots of potential in the town, great bones, and I'm so glad to be here, so can't wait. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, our next item is public comments, citizen comments for items not on the agenda. Anybody here that has public comments for items that are not on the agenda? Okay, now this is kind of the touchy-feely moment, and this is sort of new, but earlier, and at the last meeting too, we actually had the public and us as well come up with a,
It's on top. It's above you.
oh, it's above me, okay. So we already read this, which is just, it's kind of like a mission, but it's more like a vision. But what we're asking is that members of the audience, people from the community, if you have something that you would like to share that you really love about Basalt, what makes you want to come home to this place, we would love to hear it, even if it's just 30 seconds. And I know you just came home, so how about you? Do you got anything? Can you come up to the mic? Can you come up to the mic for just a sec? Not to put you on the spot.
I've been home for like 48 hours now. We live in an awesome town. We have an awesome community. We have many amenities. I went to our new bookstore, which is very exciting. We have a new brewery that's making beer. I went on the Basalt Historical Walk with my cousins who were in town for the past week, so we've got an amazing community.
And this has all happened since you left for a trip and came back.
Yes.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
You bet. Anybody else have a burning desire or even a warm desire? Okay. Well, that's fun. Thank you. Item 7 is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 12 of 2017. An ordinance of the town appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of the amounts budgeted for the 2017 budget for the town of Basalt, Colorado for the Arts Campus at Willits, TACA, approving supplemental budget for TACA activities. And this is second reading, so we have been down this road, but Susan, did you have anything?
You know, just real briefly, this came out of the work session discussion that we had at the beginning of May, where we discussed kind of the need to continue funding TACA at the kind of the existing rate through the summer months, so that they could really concentrate on two things, really the funding and capital campaign for TACA, and the second thing is, as you know, they're opening up their temporary facility in Willits, and I think that's gonna happen in August, so it's really just kind of an opportunity for them to continue with their fundraising, and as you know, at that work session, we talked about that after that, this $36,000, that we would go to a different system where we're matching money based on the contributions that come from the community. And that particular resolution wasn't ready for this meeting. We still have some more discussion about the resolution on the additional appropriations for the real estate transfer assessment. But we want to go ahead at second reading with this 36,000. So there haven't been any changes to the ordinance since first reading. Ryan Honey from TACA is expecting to be here, but I think we were moving faster. So if we don't need him,
Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing at 6:10. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a comment regarding this? Okay. She's back.
I'm excited about TACA. I'm excited about the temporary.
Would you mind just saying your name?
Oh, Carol Hawk.
Thank you.
I'm excited about TACA. I'm excited about what they're bringing into the temporary, and I would highly support any kind of matching of funds to keep them going and rolling towards their goal.
Thank you, Carol. Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public comment at like about 30 seconds after I just, did you have a? Okay, this is about TACA, about the art center.
No, about the park here, yeah. There was somebody who wrote in the paper an article, Mark or something, about we should have a bigger place for inventions here in town, like the Aspen.
Can I interrupt you just a second?
Yeah.
This is actually a different item. We are on a specific agenda item that we need to finish. Were you trying to get in at public comment? And
No, I just wanted to mention that I don't think we need a big park like Aspen.
Okay.
And we need that for investment.
Could you say your name for the record?
Barbara O'Toole.
Thank you, Barbara.
That our property tax don't go higher.
Thank you, Barbara. Well, you and I have talked as well. Okay, did I close the public hearing? Somebody? Okay, council comments?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Go for it.
Mayor, I move that town council approve ordinance number 12, series of 217 on second reading.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Brian?
That was record time. I thought we were 6:20, so I thought, thank you. I'm
No
thrilled.
problem.
Look forward to having you all at the temporary soon for some great shows.
We're
Cool,
looking for
thank
some
you.
great shows coming.
When is the first one?
August, early August, mid-August. We're just finalizing the construction timeline, and we want to make sure that that is locked down, and also our approval timeline with the CO to get into the building. So we're being very careful to make sure we don't start booking acts before we're able to actually open the space. So, but August is on track. So
Great, give me a call, I want to come look.
you all,
While you're
Yeah.
preparing, I would
I'll
like to
send out
come
an
see
email.
what
You're
you're
all
doing.
welcome to come and check out what we're up to. So,
Great.
and welcome.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
The next item is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance 13 of 2017, an ordinance of the town approving an easement agreement to permit utilities in the town's snow, that was almost hard to say, snow storage easement at 105 Ridge Road. James,
Thank
hi.
you. Hi. This is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance that, as the mayor indicated, would approve of an easement agreement to permit the property owner at 105 Ridge Road to install utilities in the public snow storage easement. As was discussed at the last meeting and first reading, it's a vacant lot on the corner of Ridge Road and Sopris Drive, and you can see it kind of over by Lynn's head there. And there's currently a pedestal, utility pedestal and transformer that's located right where the driveway would make most reasonably sense to come into the building envelope because there is a significant berm that goes along Ridge Road on the rest of the lot. So the applicant requested the ability to move those utilities into the town's snow storage easement. In reviewing it, the Public Works Department indicated that they don't really use the snow storage easement very much and that they wouldn't have an issue with it. So council approved the ordinance on first reading and the draft agreement. Since the packet went out, Tom Smith had a couple suggested changes to the language in the agreement, and I've handed them out to the council at the tables. It just provides some additional language related to indemnifying the town for use of the easement. So staff supports the adjustments that have been made. The applicant was not able to join us tonight, but staff would recommend taking public comment because it is a public hearing, and then providing council discussion.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Okay, we will open the public hearing at 6:14. Is there anyone in the public that has comment regarding this item? Having none, heard none, I will close the public hearing, go to council. Thoughts, motions? It's exciting, I know, Auden.
Mayor, I move the town council approve ordinance 13, series of 2017 on second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
I guess you can stay there, right?
I will stay here.
First readings, public hearing and first reading of ordinance 14 of 2017, an ordinance of the town granting special review approval to construct an accessory dwelling unit over a detached garage at 124 Homestead Drive, Basalt, Colorado. James?
Suzanne, could you please come up here? Thank you.
Hey, and I'll say just for the millionth time that I would love it if we could figure out a way to not have applicants facing back to the crowd, just part of the circle. Ryan, this can be a project, which is, we should have people just in this semicircle with us, so they're not in this weird, uncomfortable, I'm talking to the king position. And we haven't figured it out, but if New York can build the High Line, we can figure this out, and I will help.
So, welcome, even if you are out there and we're over here.
This is Suzanne Shear, the applicant for this project.
Hi, Suzanne, welcome.
This is a public hearing, and it is first reading of an ordinance on an application submitted by Suzanne. And they're requesting approval of special review for an ADU on the property at 124 Homestead Drive. As background, the applicant proposes to construct an ADU of about 480 square feet, and it's proposed over a detached garage. And it's in conjunction with the construction of a new residence on the site. To take a look up here, here's a vicinity map. The subject property is located right here. This is Homestead Drive, and back behind you have Tucker Lane. The applicant is proposing to construct the new ADU off of Tucker Lane, fronting on Tucker Lane. And the applicant is proposing to access the site from Tucker Lane as well. The property is zoned R3TN, and which allows for ADUs through a special review process. In reviewing the application, the staff identified some discussion items for the P&Z to consider. We've got them up on the wall here, and they're also in your staff memo. In evaluating them, the P&Z felt that the proposed ADU was consistent with the master plan, in that it satisfies the objectives in the master plan of encouraging these types of units to provide workforce housing. So the P&Z felt it was consistent with the master plan. The P&Z also was of the opinion that the project was consistent with the neighborhood character, in that you have many small lots in this area with small dwelling units on them. And the adjacent property to the west was granted approval of an ADU in 2003, but they never actually built it. The P&Z was also of the opinion that the proposed project was consistent with the typologies of single-family residential in the master plan, in that one of the goals is to add ADUs off the alleyway, as is consistent with the plan. The P&Z also evaluated compliance with the R3TN zone district. It was proposed to comply, and the property contains at least 8,000 square feet that is required for an ADU. The vehicular access, as I indicated, is off of Tucker Lane, which is a 20-foot right-of-way, and it's got between 12 and 14 feet of pavement area, or usable surface, I should say. So it's a bit tight for two-way traffic, but the fire district felt it was adequate for access as long as they had sprinkler systems in the ADU. So that's been included as a condition of approval. Staff and the P&Z also included a condition that would require that if the unit is leased out, that it be leased in the lease provisions to somebody only having one automobile. The P&Z thought it was important because it limits traffic on Tucker Lane. Construction management plan, there's requirements that they submit a construction management plan and that all construction, staging, and parking take place off-street and on the property so that Tucker Lane doesn't get blocked during construction. This is a similar condition that's been provided on some other ADUs that are in tight locations that we've reviewed recently. Deed restrictions, the applicant is not proposing to deed restrict the unit. In the R3TN zone district, there's an allowance that if you're doing an ADU that's detached from the main house and it's less than 500 square feet, there's not a requirement to deed restrict the unit. But that being the case, the applicant would not get a break from the parkland dedication fees if they do not deed restrict the unit. And so there's a requirement in the conditions that they would have to pay the parkland dedication. As far as technical items are concerned, there's a water line that is a dead-end water line that comes off of Spur Lane, which runs here, and it goes about to here in the Tucker Lane alley. The applicant originally proposed to take their water service off of Homestead Drive and come across the lot. Staff required a condition, and the P&Z agreed with that condition, that they actually hook into this dead-end water line so that it gets more exercise, so it has less stagnant water in the line. It should be noted, too, that the P&Z, the Public Works is actually working on the potential to extend that water line to the end of the alleyway, and they're looking at that as potential into summer type of project. Staff and the P&Z recommended approval of the special review for the ADU, so staff would suggest hearing any applicant comments, taking public comments, and then providing council discussion. Suzanne, do you have any discussion for the council?
I do not.
Okay, this is a public hearing, we're gonna open the public, let me just go back. Are we having public hearings on first and second reading?
We're having a public hearing on first reading, and we usually continue and set the public hearing once again for second reading.
So,
So
both times?
Both times.
Okay, got it. So I guess this really is public hearing, open the public hearing at 6:22. Is there anyone in the audience that has any comments regarding this application? Yes, sir. Could you come to a microphone, please, so we can hear you? Maybe we can just hand you one if that's easier. How very uncomfortable.
I'm all right, I'm okay.
You can sit here, Doug.
I'm comfortable. I just,
State your name, Doug.
Doug Grant, 110 West Homestead Drive. And I'm here to talk about Suzanne's little project. I don't have any problem with what she's doing. I think it is consistent with the neighborhood with ADUs in the back and infill. The only thing is the alley, there are places I'd like to keep, it's a 20-foot clear right-of-way. And there are some fences encroaching a little bit, and I'd like to keep it that way all the time with more traffic, with Suzanne wanting to access her property from the back. I think it's important that it's kept as wide as possible. The pavement there right now is real narrow. It's not as wide as the alley is. So just keep that in mind. It is narrow and more traffic on it, and it is a dead end. It's not through. So the main thing I'm here for is the water line. When we proposed, we've got on the end of Tucker, where it ends now, almost 5 years ago, we did a garage and an AD over the top. And we were told we had to do the water line from Spur Lane clear down at our expense. And without the P&Z, I said, fine, I'll do it, but I wanted a tickler file where anybody that got onto it would reimburse us for the cost of the line. if we had to put in the line and the town wasn't. And the P and Z told me that, no, we can't do that, we don't do that. I said, okay, then I'm not doing it either. So we subsequently got permission to go through the lot to Homestead for that. And every time I come in now since then, telling the town manager has been Bill Kane and Mike Scanlon, that we're gonna put that water line in, that our building's sitting there. And they say, nope, just wait, we'll get something done here, we'll get her going. And it's now so many years. And the line was extended by the neighbor's expense, the person that did the little garage across the alley from Suzanne, with their expense and share. And so the thing is, I'm here, I spoke to James, in all fairness to him earlier, about it, and things have changed a little bit since what my mindset was coming in. And coming in, I felt Suzanne should pay a little bit to the person that cost shared to put the line in to where she's gonna hook on. Okay, since then, James told me the town is considering to go ahead this year at some point. Now, I've been told this year after year after year, to at least where the Tucker ends now by our ADU. So that's my concern. I want to be sure that gets done. And if the town, there's still question whether the town is going to do it all or whether we have to cost share and put it in. And I don't mind cost sharing and putting it in. We need water at our house, and we're so frustrated, we're ready to just put it in and throw up our hands. But I don't think that's fair at all to anyone involved there. So I think it's time the town get off center and put the line in like a town does. Utilities that are beyond the capacity of the citizens, the town does that. One citizen, it made it cost prohibitive for us to do our ADU by putting in a water line all that distance. So that's the main thing I have here is the water line, and please try to move forward, get it done one way or the other so we can have water for our place. We started that project, just for your knowledge, when the recession was pretty bad and we had relatives that needed work. And that was one way we thought we could have him build it for us. He's a carpenter and everything, to do that. And now it's gone, and we can't get water. It's still half finished. And we're not happy with the town, put it that way, right?
Okay, thanks, Mr. Grant. Yeah, Mark.
A clarification, so you built the ADU and garage how many years ago?
Yes.
How many?
I think it's been over 5 years now. I can't remember exactly when.
Judy, do we have any money budgeted for that extension? Or?
It is on the, Boyd and I have been discussing it, and we've been trying to round up numbers, so I will tell you that I will personally take care of it.
Okay.
Mike, yep.
So I will get a status report, and I've got your mom's number, but I'll get yours as well, so.
Okay, I've been in touch with Boyd, but he was going to the Sand District and he hasn't got back to me, and I don't know what the status of it is.
You touch base with me, and we'll get it done.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
There you go.
I actually talked to Boyd as a status update as well. He is working with the Sand District to make sure that there's enough separation between the water and the sewer line to make it work in Tucker. And so
Okay.
they're in the process of that.
And I'll try to stay abreast of it too.
okay.
Thanks for coming in, though, Mr. Grant.
So I have no problem
I
with
do remember this.
what Suzanne's doing, and now if the town puts the water line in, then her tap fee should cover the cost and everything.
Right.
That's fine. So that's the only thing. And we've
Okay.
been real patient for a long time.
You absolutely have.
Okay, so that's it. Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any other comments regarding this?
I'd just like to say, I would have preferred to do our water off of Homestead, but as a condition for the ADU, the town has asked that we tap into that water line in the back to keep that water more viable since it's a dead end. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So for me, it would have been financially, I think, easier to tap into the main off of Homestead.
Okay. Well, I have to trust these guys because
No, I
I
understand
think
that,
they.
but I'm saying that's why, to pay Fabrizio for his tap, I mean, I understand that, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments regarding this application? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and go to council comments, questions. Any other staff?
I moved that town council approve ordinance 14 series of 2017, and continue and set the second reading and public hearing for July 11th.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good luck.
Thank you.
No, she still has to come back.
Oh, yeah, she does have to come back. Okay, the next one is public hearing and first reading of ordinance 15, an ordinance of the town granting special review approval for major utility facilities and site plan review approval to install a telecommunications monopole at 155 Park Avenue, Lot 14, Basalt Industrial Park. James?
Yes, thank you. We do have Brendan Thompson here this evening with Pinnacle Consultant. He's representing the applicant group.
Hello, Brendan, welcome.
Good afternoon.
You've been here a long time, waiting.
Oh, I don't mind at all.
Okay.
So this is a public hearing and first reading of an ordinance regarding a special review and site plan for a major utility facility. It's submitted by Pinnacle Consulting on behalf of Basalt Management Incorporated. And it's for the construction of a telecommunications monopole at 155 Park Avenue in the Basalt Industrial Park. The property subject to the application is 155 Park Avenue. It contains an industrial building and about 60,000 square feet of property. It's right up here. This is Park Avenue. This is the, I'm sorry, Tom. Right above Tom's head, there is the waste management facility in Willits Lane. You're fine. I'm not going to point anymore. And it's zoned industrial PUD. The proposal is for a 70-foot tall monopole. It's proposed to fill a void in service in the Basalt Industrial Park area for cell phone service. It's proposed as a faux pine tree, and it's proposed to have associated equipment on the ground of 160 square feet that would be fenced. And you can see it in the photo simulations that are in your packet. In reviewing the application, the P&Z reviewed a series of discussion items. They looked at the visibility of the proposed monopole, and staff had requested that the applicant provide a series of photo simulations to try to get an understanding of what it would look like from different vantage points. We've got vantage points in there from Willits Lane, backed by the Park Modern development near Evans Road. There's also photo simulations from the waste management site at the corner of Willits Lane and Park Avenue, and also from two other locations from within the Basalt Industrial Park. The P&Z in evaluating them felt that it would be fairly localized kind of impact in terms of visual impact. The P&Z also reviewed whether it should be a faux tree versus a monopole without the tree scenario. The P&Z ultimately felt that it would be, if approved, appropriate to have it as the faux tree instead to kind of soften the aesthetics of the area. The P&Z discussed public health, and the application proposes to satisfy the FCC requirements for radio frequency emissions, which is kind of the guiding safety regulations for telecommunication facilities. And they propose to meet the FCC requirements once installed. And staff and the P&Z included a draft condition for the council's consideration that would require them to maintain compliance and do an annual report from a third-party consultant to the town, identifying that they would still be in compliance with these FCC requirements. And then the condition further states that if they were determined to be out of compliance, then there would be a hearing held before the council about removing the pole. Maintenance is a similar issue. There's a draft condition that the applicant would have to maintain the monopole and the faux tree in good and satisfactory condition. And if it became out of repair, the planning department could schedule a hearing with the council to talk about removing the monopole. There has also been some discussion potentially about requiring some sort of bond or financial security if the pole were to kind of be abandoned or fall out of use. So that could be something that the council could consider as part of the discussion. Location in the industrial park, some of you might recall the last telecom application that the town had was in 2007. It was for a monopole to be placed on Bee Hill back behind Elk Run. One of the primary reasons that was of concern and denied ultimately was because it was very visible from throughout the community. The P&Z in evaluating this application felt that there would be more localized impacts from it, so they generally recommended approval on the proposal with the conditions that you have in the draft ordinance. That was the P&Z's evaluation. Staff has also suggested an additional condition for consideration that we handed out to the council at your tables. The condition would require co-location in the future if somebody else wanted to add antennas to the area, that they would be required to co-locate on this facility. Staff would suggest taking applicant comments, taking public comments as it is a public hearing, and then providing council discussion. Ultimately, if the council is comfortable, you could approve it on first reading. We do have Brendan Thompson here. Do you have additional comments?
Again, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. This, obviously, project being in the town of Basalt in the industrial park and being a monopine, we feel it fits the overall aesthetics of that area. There is definitely a need there. Actually, when I was talking to some of the property owners in that area, each one of them said, please, if you don't, actually do a deal with me, please put something up. And actually, before the planning and zoning meeting, I did stop by and noticed on my phone, which is Verizon, that I couldn't get what they call 1X service, which is basically phone calls.
We all know about this.
Yeah, so I mean, we're obviously, very well aware of the situation, and that's what Verizon really wants to come into to obviously alleviate that problem.
Okay, thank you. So this is, I guess, are we ready for the public hearing, James, or did you have anything else?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do the public hearing, and then you could ask questions and
Yep.
provide comments.
Okay, this is a public hearing again. Open the public hearing at 6:35 for members of the public to have comments regarding this application for a monopole pine, whatever. Monopine. Anybody have any comments regarding this application?
Yay.
Thank you. Okay. Hearing that, I will close the public hearing. I think he speaks for everyone at 6:36 and go to council. Gary.
My biggest thing is, I look at these fake pines, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally in favor of putting this in this spot. This is much better than putting it on a hill or
Right.
Bee Hill. But what I've seen is these fake trees look so fake, they stick out so poorly that if you do a really good job of painting it a very neutral gray or dark gray, they disappear better than the fake tree. So that was my only concern here, is that the fake trees look so fake that it just, why?
Understandable, and actually, that leads us right into, I actually sent James some examples of the tree itself. It's like show and tell.
It's like a fake Christmas tree.
That's all they can.
See, it looks like a fake Christmas tree.
So, yeah, it's, because what it is this obviously allows you to transfer the signal through there, but at the same time, obviously masks.
Is that actual size?
That's 70 feet on.
Kind of like passing.
Are we on candid camera?
And then, as far as the park.
You are.
Can you please stop talking to the mic?
And as far as the bark goes, it is a simulated, essentially aesthetic, three-dimensional bark. So it's not just, there, in the past, we have just painted the poles brown, which of course looks like popsicle stick with branches on it. Then they did faux painting, which looks like a faux painted tree, but Now they actually have bark that looks simulated. I mean, it's tough to see from 10 feet out if it's real or not, so.
On the height, though, are there really any trees out there that high that it would look normal?
Not in that particular area.
There's no
it is
trees,
not.
really?
Yeah, there's that, in that particular area, there are trees, but unfortunately not pine trees of that nature.
You can see behind Susan's head the site plan that shows there are 2 or 3 trees. They're more in the 25 to 30 foot tall.
Yeah, Mark?
We just put a site in up in Snowmass, down at the rodeo lot,
Yes.
and it's like 20 feet. What's the difference?
The difference is, and I'm familiar with that site, on the rodeo grounds, it's on the light pole there. That one actually covers just a very, very small area, because they actually have put small cells up through into the Snowmass community, which then that site teams up with the rest of them. So in this particular case, due to that kind of dip in the terrain in that area, it covers the highway and it covers the industrial park. So it covers a larger area, and therefore it needs to be taller, so that it can reach that area.
And you did a study in 70 feet is,
And actually, the pole itself is 65 feet. The top 5 feet of the pole
star goes.
is actually, yes, exactly. That's, yeah, as long as we can get, a 75-foot crane at least to be able to get up there.
I was gonna ask a question kind of along those lines. That is, you're saying it covers from that area to the highway, so I am assuming it picks up all of Willits and commercial Willits?
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's just,
That is, Verizon that's obviously the reason why we're here, is the one reason, or several reasons why Verizon finds suitable locations is customer complaints. So, all the customers in that area calling up Verizon going, yeah, I have your phone, it's great, I love the new iPhone 23.5, I don't, but it doesn't work. That's the one thing that Verizon never wants to hear. So that's one of the issues. And then also too, the radio frequency engineers, they have all their propagation maps and their coverage plots and things. So it's a combination of those that kind of determines the area.
and my other question is, just in your opinion, I mean, 70 feet is really high, it's gonna show. And so back to whatever Gary or Mark or whoever asked, is it better just to try to get a neutral color on the pole rather than, because it's gonna look,
Like a 70-foot fake tree.
yeah, I mean, it just is so much higher than anything else around there that, what is the, in your opinion?
It's, in my opinion, I'm gonna use, this is gonna sound bad, I use my mom. If you ask her what her son does, she won't tell you that he does cell phones. He'd rather be, something else. When I'm with my mother, she now is the point that she can go, oh, look, that's a tower, that's a tower. So yes, it does look like a giant pine tree, but to the general public, a majority, they won't, it just kind of passes by. Whereas an actual tower itself, they'll go, oh, it's a tower. So again, it's kind of a perspective of what you prefer or what you tend to lean towards, whether it's just, and again, the kind of light gray colored pole, they do blend in, in certain situations in certain times of the year. Like in winter time when snow is everywhere, they kind of stick out, where again, the tree would do the same thing, but it might not draw as much attention as the pole itself.
Okay, I mean, you do this more than I do, so.
As background staff had this discussion as well, and we were mixed as well, it wasn't.
Can I get
clear.
my money back on my booster? Just kidding. I might try, I might make a phone call.
Yeah, please make a phone call. I recommend that to everybody.
Okay. Anybody else, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that the town council approve ordinance 15, series of 2017 on first reading with the amendments provided by staff.
And set the
Set second reading.
And public hearing.
Well, I thought we could approve it on first reading, didn't, James, you say
No.
that?
You have to set this.
Yeah, you have to continue and set.
Oh, okay, and then set the public hearing for July 11th, 2017, and second reading. that
Second.
day.
Yeah, further discussion? I thought you were,
Second.
we got a second, I
Got
think,
a
from Mark. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hey, it's about time. Thank you so much,
First time.
Brendan.
Oh, no, thank you.
Being for yourself. You remember when they asked for the one at
Okay.
Hill? I was on council.
Our next
First one was
item is a public hearing and first reading of ordinance 16, an ordinance of the town approving the Broughton, am I saying that right? Broughton minor subdivision creating 3 lots at 164 Original Road and approving a site plan review. James again.
Thank you, Mark.
He's sitting
As the mayor indicated, this is a
Hold on,
public...
let's let them
Yep,
finish
sorry.
this conversation before we start. Okay, go ahead.
As the mayor indicated, this is a public hearing and a first reading of an ordinance that would approve of the Broughton minor subdivision to divide the property at 164 Original Road into 3 lots for the future construction of 2 new single-family residences. Bit of background on the property, it's a 2.8 acre property. You can see it up here, just above the Pine Ridge Townhomes. Here's Highway 82, here is Original Road, here are the Pine Ridge Townhomes, and here is the lot that's proposed to be subdivided into 3 properties. It's known as Lot 1 of the Broughton subdivision, and the applicant would like to subdivide it into a 1.8 acre parcel, which would contain the existing Broughton residence, and then 2 half-acre properties that would be for the construction of single-family houses, 1 on each of the lots. And the applicant is proposing for the residential units not to exceed 3,000 square feet each, for them to be exempt from the town's inclusionary housing requirements. In reviewing the application, it was referred to the fire district, and they're requiring that the applicant make a series of improvements, as are outlined on the first page of your staff memo. They include improving the road coming off of Original Road here to serve it to a 20-foot wide kind of all-weather surface, and then extending it to the eastern property line right here, so that the adjacent property to the south here, in the case that they were to redevelop, they would have the ability to connect through and have a road from Hillcrest Drive to Original Road. They also are requiring that the applicant install a new fire hydrant and provide a truck turnaround in the driveway, which you can see on the site plan. And they're requiring that the houses be fire sprinklered, all of which are required in the conditions of approval prior to the initial CO on the property. The Mid-Valley Metropolitan District also reviewed the application, and they're requiring that an open hole inspection of the soils be done prior to actually installing the utilities, as there have been some hydrocompactive soil issues with the Pine Ridge Townhomes just below it. If they were to find hydrocompactive soils, the applicant would be required to own and maintain the utilities to the sites instead of Mid-Valley Metro, which has kind of been the case with some other properties that have had the same issues. Site design, staff thinks that the southern edge of the building envelopes on lots 3 and 4, which are the 2 new lots, should be pushed up the hill a little bit, about 20 feet, so that they get off of the slopes. So that has been included as a condition of approval. And we think it would make it more consistent with the town slope requirements and the hillside overlay. The applicant has provided a conceptual model that you have in your packet, and we've got it up on the wall there of the 2 houses. Staff has included a condition that they would be required to come back in once they have specific designs for a final P&Z design review, once the designs are ready. So staff generally believes it's consistent with the master plan as long as the draft conditions are adhered to. And the subdivision would be exempt from the community housing requirements in that it is proposing less than 3 units, and they're all proposed to be detached and under 3,000 square feet. And that's an exemption pursuant to Town Code Section 16416. So staff would recommend this evening hearing applicant comments, taking public comments, and providing council discussion. We do have Scott Broughton here this evening. As the
Mayor,
applicant.
council.
Scott, you have some additional discussion?
Thank you guys for your time. I really don't. I think, James has done a great job of kind of putting it together and presenting really all the facts to it. The only thing I would add is that it's been a lengthy process on our behalf, and we've reached out throughout this entire thing to a majority of the close adjacent neighbors, and have kept them abreast of process and progress and things like that. And everybody really seems to be on board at this point. I mean, I don't know if they are here to speak, but we've really tried to just continue to involve the community with this proposal. But other than that, I don't really have anything to add.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, this is another public hearing, and we will open the public hearing at 6:50. Is there anybody here who has a comment regarding this application? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and go to council questions, comments. I have just a couple. I mean, I'm sure the fire department is totally thorough here, but I always look at that area and am concerned because I think back when it was in the county, because I think it was initially approved in the county and then the town annexed it. I'm not sure there were necessarily safe ways in and out for firefighters, and it looks like that's been addressed totally. And the same thing happened in the county with the soils problem. So just, I guess, are you already built on those soils with your own?
Yes, I am an existing home
Okay.
right now. I was very, very well aware of, involved with the previous Basalt Bluffs when that was trying to come through. So I was aware of all those constraints and conditions that were voiced at that point too.
Right.
So yeah, I'm prepared to deal with all this.
Yeah, Mark?
I think this is a great opportunity for Scott's family to stay in the valley too. I'm assuming these are lots for your children?
Yeah, our family's been here for 100 and some odd years, not as long as Kittles and Arbany's.
Well,
but-
there's always a contest
Yeah.
for that.
But this is an opportunity, I mean, at least create the lots. We don't know when and if we'll ever develop those, but it is the opportunity for my kids to come back and get a foothold,
Yeah,
just in case.
not everybody can say that,
Right.
right?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 16, series of 2017, and continue and set the second reading and public hearing for July 11th.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank
Well,
you, Mayor
have
and
at it,
Council.
Scott.
Pretty painless.
That was not so bad.
I'd
Thanks,
rather
guys.
had to deal with Kathy than you.
We'll
though.
make her come up next time. Thanks, you guys.
You bet. Hey, James, I just had, since there's a new guy on
Sure.
board here, one of the things I have wondered is that we have this big screen here, and at RAFTA meetings and Town of Carbondale meetings, they actually throw these things up on the screen so you could make heads or tails. Like, we've got it in our packet. A lot of times it's too dark to see. The public can't see it at all, for the most part. So I would love to see an effort made to use this. It seems like it's on, applicants use it all the time, and it would just be great for the public.
Staff is happy to start showing it up there. We usually try to use that for the applicants, but we can use it for staff as well.
It would be appreciated.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. So,
This is ridiculous.
thank you for that public comment.
You're welcome.
It's hard to say that it seems viable, but, okay, our next item is Resolution 21, a resolution of the town approving use of a portion of the general beautification and signage funds. I knew that had to be you. In the 2017 town budget to design an entry sign for the south side of Highway 82 at Basalt Avenue. James.
Thank you. It is a reso, as the mayor indicated, to use $4,000 of the budget for general beautification and signage for the design of an entry sign at Basalt Avenue on the south side of Highway 82. As background, the P&Z held some visioning charrettes back in 2012 and 2013. As part of those visioning charrettes, it was identified that there was a need for monument signage and wayfinding signage for the entryway into town through Basalt Avenue. And it was identified that there was the need on both sides, north and south of Highway 82, at the Basalt Avenue corridor. So the Chamber Sign Committee has worked with town staff in establishing the roundabout monument sign, as well as wayfinding signage into town over the last couple years. And the Basalt Business Center Association in the south side has been requesting entrance signage for quite some time. And the town staff has suggested to them that they wait until the underpass was nearing completion, because it didn't make sense to go ahead and design a sign without the underpass being in place. So now we're nearing completion of the underpass, and the Basalt Chamber Sign Committee believes that it's the appropriate time to start working on the potential for an entry sign. So the Chamber Sign Committee has held several meetings with stakeholders in the south side regarding potential text for the entry sign, as there was a bit of an issue back some years back when we were doing highway signage, and there was discussion about what the appropriate identification for that area of town should be on the highway signage. So the sign committee held a series of a couple meetings, and there was a recommendation ultimately provided that the text of such a sign or entry sign should be Basalt in primary text, and then South Side and Business Center in secondary text. So that was the recommendation of the sign committee. The residential stakeholders felt that it was important to keep the signage general, and the Basalt Business Center wanted it to say Basalt Business Center. And so the sign committee's recommendation was somewhat of a compromise between those. After we held those meetings and the sign committee made their recommendation for the text, the BBC, Basalt Business Center Association, voted to support that recommendation for the text. So I think, in general, we're kind of in general agreement on what the text of the sign should be, at least from the sign committee and most of the stakeholders that were involved. So the sign committee would recommend the council approve the resolution approving use of $4,000 out of that fund.
So is it Basalt Business Center? Is that the sign?
No, what it would be is Basalt in primary text, and then South Side and Business Center in secondary
Okay,
text.
got it. I read that somewhere, but I couldn't find it.
And we have members of the sign committee, Chamber Sign Committee with us this evening.
Well, we have one.
Bennett over there, Bennett Bramson, and Lynn Mace
You're
is the chair of
early.
the sign committee.
Right, we're a little
That's a
early.
switch, huh?
Yeah, it's
Pardon me?
great.
That's a switch.
Yeah, I know.
Well, so Lynn, I'm just curious, it sounds like you guys did your due diligence in working with the stakeholders, because I know this has been an ongoing, we want this, no, we want this, and I'm just wondering what the general feel is, if it feels like a compromise to everybody, or how that ends.
Oh, it was a compromise to everybody.
Okay.
I mean, we had our sign committee meeting, we have a representative from the BBCA, and they had their last meeting on the 13th. They approved that specific lineup of words, if you will, and we are all ecstatic.
Okay. And my other question is, I see Nick is in here, who designed our main entry. Is it going to be somewhat consistent with that look?
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo. Okay, I like it. Others?
I was curious as to why there was no other prices garnered,
No other what?
bids.
But this is not well, this was already, I'll let you answer that.
I've got an answer.
I think I know why.
The sign committee had recommended and had a discussion about this. They felt it was important to use the same designer to kind of have a similar feel throughout the community, in that he did the wayfinding signage, he did the roundabout sign, and the Basalt Chamber Sign Committee's original intent behind the wayfinding signage was to have kind of an overall theme throughout the community, with the public signage to find different locations in town. And so the Chamber Sign Committee thought it was important to use him to keep that theme. In addition, Nick had been working with the Basalt Business Center Association prior to coming back up to the sign committee, so he's pretty well versed in what is going on.
I was
over
just
there.
concerned, Tom, we're okay, right? As far as
Procurement.
legally,
Yes, given the amount, it's fine,
okay.
which I understand from the.
Nick, I would like to address that. When Nick won the competition to design the monument sign in the roundabout, it was clearly specified in there that we wanted him to do something that he could carry on throughout the town.
No, I'm fine with
Okay.
Nick. I just didn't want to make sure we were on solid ground.
Good.
So, anybody else, or are we ready?
I'll make a motion to the town council approve resolution 21, series of 2017.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We're going forward. It's been so long.
Will ya?
Take a
No,
tree
I'm
with you.
leaving this here for you guys to look at.
It's so pretty.
Anyway, thank you very much.
And thank you, Lynn.
Put the,
Put the tree somewhere else.
slide.
Do you want the tree to go somewhere else?
Yep.
Okay,
And Louis, yep.
bye, Bennett. See you in the morning. Okay, our next item is Willits Linear Park Improvements, approach
up,
for
Louis.
construction of park. Is there a staff person on? Is it you?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
And what is the goal here? It doesn't give us much.
Well, what we're looking for is in our staff memo, and I'll go over that, but we had an approach that we have for outlining how we're going to get the park
What
improvements.
does approach mean?
Let me give my presentation
Okay,
and
all
then
right.
you can
Thank
ask
you.
questions, Jackie. Okay, so we have the Sopris Meadows 1 HOA representatives today, and they have been working for quite some time in making progress on improving the park playground facilities in the Sopris Meadows Linear Park. The park improvements that
Could
you
we
s-
just introduce these guys really quick?
Yes, I
Okay.
will do that.
Okay.
Carol Hawk is a member of the Sopris One HOA, and we have Craig Scott. And Craig has really been the leader in preparing the plans and getting all this kind of work going. And Craig started this when his kids were very little, and I think they're actually too old now to use the playground equipment. And the other representative of the Sopris One HOA is Louis Allenbach from the HOA. And the HOA has been very anxious to move forward on the park improvements for Linear Park. What you kind of see out there today, you're north of Evans Road, and what you're looking at in real time, if you were out there, were some developer improvements, and then they got contributions from folks for the playground equipment. In fact, Chris Everett allegedly, I understand, contributes some of the playground equipment that you see out there. So there's been a real anxious kind of movement from the HOA to move forward. They hired Connect One designers at the end of probably 2015 to kind of help them through the design process about what they were looking for in the park. And in January of 2016, the town entered into an agreement with, that really were providing for kind of our initial share of the costs. And the linear park, I didn't say, is actually owned by the town of Basalt. But we entered in with, really the idea was the HOA and the town of Basalt would share equally in kind of the design fees for the park improvements. And then the town picked up the survey work to know where the existing utilities and easements were. And all that work's been done. Connect One has done a lot of work planning the park, and they surveyed the residents about what they were looking for. And basically they kind of have 3 zones. One zone is kind of the natural play area where they have, sand features and kind of little huts and the slides, kind of taking off on that theme of the tubby tubes with some slides. And then they have an active play area, which is kind of taking the existing playground and really upgrading it. James, maybe you can kind of flip through the slides that kind of just show some of the play equipment and stuff. And then they have what they call the chill zone, which is really kind of upgrading the existing pavilion. So what we were looking for today is just a motion that's kind of accepting the approach that we're going to move forward to try to get the park improvements constructed. And there's 6 items there. One is that we use our town engineer, who's SGM, to do the grading and drainage plan, and SGM would also prepare the bid documents. The grading and drainage plan was a maximum amount of $6,000. The bid documents are $3,600. Connect One would finish the contract that they currently have for us and would provide the specs on the play equipment. And we would bring back the contract for the council to approve at a later date. And, you know, we just kind of, the HOAs agreed to fund $75,000 for this year, so they're matching the amount of money that the town has included in our budget, which we've budgeted $75,000 for this year. Over the next 5 years, we've, in our capital improvement plan, we had about $200,000 of improvements, and the HOAs actually indicated kind of a willingness to maybe front end, depending on what we get back on the bids, that we might front end some of the improvements if the town would agree to pay them back in 2018. And then we just are kind of flagging in item number 6 that this is a capital improvement that is subject to the 1% for public arts. And it's just kind of, again, reminding everybody so that you don't see that as a surprise at the end.
Can I just get a clarification, because there are a lot of numbers rolling
Yep.
there? So there's $75,000 in this year's budgets
Yep.
and in the capital improvement plan?
Yep. Mhm.
And we want to roll it more into 2018 because we don't have any money? Or is that what the deal is? What's
Well,
the total?
It's really the idea that, you know, kind of the approach is we're going to go out to bid for most of the improvements that are shown on the plan. When we get our bids back, we'll pick which of the improvements that we can fund. We have $75,000 from the town. We have $75,000 starting out from the HOA. We have an additional $12,000 because the HOA went out and got a grant from Eagle County. And actually, they were the biggest, they were granted the biggest award of the applicants that submitted for the grant approval. And that's kind of one of the things that we're facing here is that the Eagle County's asked them to finish the improvements by October of this year. So one of the, you know, we need to kind of move rapidly so that we can have these improvements done before the end of the year. So that's kind of one of the things that's driving it, as well as the fact that the HOA, I don't know why those are upside down, but, so James, maybe we don't show those and just close them out. But anyway, we have the HOA here to see, you know, to show their support. They're very anxious to move forward, and I don't know if Craig, you and Carol, would you like to add?
You know,
something?
we reached out, we hired Connect One Design to make sure that we had a good park design. The first thing that they did was survey the entire community, not just the single-family homeowners, but the townhomes, everyone that lives in the Willits neighborhood, to see what they wanted to see in the park. So really the design came out of what the owners and what the residents want in that park. And we're just, you know, we know that there's gonna be a lot of pressure from the new residents moving into our neighborhood. We wanna make sure that we have a park that works for everybody. And it's, yeah, most of the equipment, you know, Carol's been living in the neighborhood longer than I have. And, you know, I've been there 12 years and she's been there longer, 17 years. And so most of that equipment was donated by people within the community and put together by homeowners when they first moved in. So it's, you know, we're coming to the table with $75,000 just because we see the need and we want to see this project through and get it done sooner than later.
Well, I have to give you guys a lot of credit because it is a public park, and you show so much enthusiasm, especially now that your kids are too big to use it, but you know, you kind of get married to these projects, right, mentally.
That's right,
Your
that's right.
grandchildren will. But it's great that you're kind of taking a lead and pulling us along with you, because it's a great idea. And there's more kids out there, I think, than anywhere in the rest of town, probably.
The park is used a lot, and, you know, there's always kids out there, and the equipment that's out there was a couple jungle gyms and swings. We didn't have toddler seats. I mean, we've kind of piecemealed it, and, you know, we have a commitment from our homeowners and our board that this is something that they really want.
Yeah.
And,
Mark?
Judy, is the money ready? We could cut them a check tomorrow? Is that kind of what we're going after here? Or?
Yeah, we wanted to know the whole bidding process, how this all works. I mean, we're not contractors, we're just trying to do what we can to.
That's what I was wondering, do we pay the homeowners association?
No.
Do we pay the contractor?
So it's gonna be run through the town of Basalt, and we're gonna invoice the HOA for their money. That's how, we're gonna run it through the
Okay,
town.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
the construction management?
Yep.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
Yep.
It's a town-owned property, so we just need, for liability purposes,
Okay.
I wouldn't, we will stay in charge of the project.
And no license agreements then?
Right.
I think,
Right.
and if something changes, I need to know, but at this point, it is a town property, so.
Okay.
I did see one thing that caught my eye. I was on an HOA board back when I lived in Glenwood Springs, and we got a bunch of donated equipment as well. And we put a slide in at such a direction with the sun that we got like first-degree burns on a kid. So just, I mean, I
Well, I
know
think
that
that's why
they're
we-
on top of that, but
That's why we wanted Connect One, and it came at the town's recommendation,
know.
and they've done so many playgrounds and parks around the community. I think they did the Basalt Elementary School, and I think
yeah,
they're
I
very
think that's
well-
an obvious thing, but it wasn't obvious to us homeowners, so.
Yeah. And I think this is really just so we can start the process and get the bid documents and not lose that Eagle County money and,
Right.
and get it finally done.
Right. Okay, yeah, Gary?
I move that the town council approve the approach to construct the park
Jeez.
improvements as described in the staff summary.
No wonder I didn't get it. Further discussion? Yes, sir.
Just one comment, that's a great park, and one of the great features, as we know, Craig, is those hills are great for sledding, and I see that slide, I wouldn't want to take up all the sledding space, right?
Well, we're gonna pack snow on top of that slide.
Okay, all right.
It'll last longer.
You've got a plan. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Exciting.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thanks, everybody.
I say it's time for a margarita.
Ready to go home.
With you.
I'll have one for you.
Susan,
Well,
Tom,
that scares me
Ryan.
from your earlier comments. Too many margaritas
We
wakes
have
something
we
else
have a
up.
meeting.